Hello, my name is Barry Osborne and I'm the CEO of Rural Mission Solutions. I'm going to share with you a few slides that we used as part of an online forum that we held. Do watch out for those online forums, they're really quite useful. And I'm going to take you through the slides fairly quickly, but hopefully there'll be some points here which will be helpful to you. So bear with me while I just change over to screen view. And we're going to start by talking about visitors. Now, I have something I'm really concerned about visitors, because I want to say, let's stop calling them visitors and start calling them guests instead. And let's treat them like guests. Let's show really good hospitality. Now, if your welcome in your church is just somebody standing at the door, shaking hands and giving out hymn books, you could do better than that. I know that if I came to visit you, you'd do better in your home. So if you use how you give hospitality in your home as a standard for what you do in church, it would improve things no end. And when you're welcoming people who've never been before, what do they need to know? Is there a better place to sit? Somewhere which is not embarrassing? Don't take them down the front, everybody stares at them. But think about where they go. Could you introduce them to somebody and offer them a seat next to them? That would be a very good thing. Do you have toilets? Then maybe make a point of saying where the toilets are. That would be a good idea. So think about, when you have visitors, what do they need to know? Next point is about being people-centered, being really interested in them. You know, if you get visitors, you want to know a little bit about them. So find out a little bit about people. If you know who they are and they've never been before, well, obviously you can welcome them, make them feel at home. But if you haven't got to know them, well, see if there's an opportunity to find out, are they on holiday or have they moved into the area? Take a genuine interest in them, not being wrapped up about yourself. And then be discreet about finances. I think it's a very good idea to put an offering plate or an offering bag under the nose of a visitor. I think that's an appalling thing to do. And I like to encourage churches to stop taking up collections. You can have an offering box near the door so people coming in can put some money in if they're used to it, it's their church. And another thing you could do is get them to set up standing orders. But let's get away from this thing about having to take a collection up when we come to church. And then be careful about the language that's being used. We tend to be very churchy and use all sorts of strange terms. So just try to be helpful. Okay, if something needs to be explained in contemporary English, explain it. Or use the contemporary English. Don't use churchy language. And of course, keep the focus off yourself and keep making them feel really welcome and at home. If you have coffee afterwards, well, do something of quality. Have good coffee and have good quality biscuits or cake. So make it really special. And don't so much think of it as an add-on after the service. Think of it as part of the Sunday experience. Now, I want to talk about sharing your premises. Now, very often there's an image of the church being wrapped up in itself, and we only do things to raise funds for ourselves and things like that. Well, what can we do for others? Could you make your premises available for an occasional free event, maybe a concert or some sort of drama, something you could put on as a free event, or if you must raise funds, raise it for a third-party organisation, something like the Air Ambulance would be a good idea. So raising funds for others, perhaps 2 or 3 times a year, and having a free event and then inviting people to give a gift works really well. I've raised a lot of money for churches in that way and gained a great deal of goodwill. Now, it may be also a good thing to invite help when you've got work to do on your premises. So if you've got some cleaning up to do, tidying up at the churchyard or anything like that, it's a great thing to invite people from the community to come in and help. So if there's something to be done with the fabric of your building, then ask people to come. You may get men that way as well, which is really good. Now, one of the ways of engaging with the local community is by engaging properly with the parish council. Now think about how you do that. Do you know everybody that serves on the parish council? Do you know who the chairman or the chairwoman is? What do you know? Do you know when they hold their meetings? Now, if you do, well, why not incorporate that into your church notices? So know who is who on it, know what is happening, see if you could help. There may be events coming up and you may have resources that could be helpful, or even by announcing it in your church on a Sunday morning, well, that would be a good thing. You could be very helpful. So announcing it, but also praying about it. So perhaps after this announcement, there's a special council meeting coming up, maybe just a moment to have a few moments of intercession and prayer about that. And remember to say thank you for the work that they do. Now, maybe a letter to the clerk asking it to be read out at the next meeting to express your appreciation for the time given to serve on the parish council may generate a huge amount of goodwill. But by engaging and sharing and having this sense of identity between the parish church and the parish council, or the chapel and the parish council, that's really a super way in. So if they've got some difficult issues to deal with, why not then make a point of particularly praying about that? You need to be very careful politically how you do that. But if you could do something like that, it would make a big difference. And then what about schools? Do you engage with your schools? If you have a village school, a primary school, well, that's really great. But your children, if there are children in the village, will be going to school somewhere, and you could relate to them. And that's another great way of engaging with your community and getting your community engaging with you. Obviously, you're going to be involved in doing things at the school. You'll need to be safe people, so maybe having a data certificate, DBS certificate, and the school would have its own, and they may approach and ask if they can conduct that. Get to know the staff by name, at least know the name of your head teacher, but if you can know the names of other teachers and be able to greet them when you see them, that means an awful lot, so that links you with the school. Now, I don't know whether you have a school and you're actually involved in it. You're on the board of governors if you're perhaps the local vicar, and that's fine. But other people in your church could develop engagement with the schools as well. If you're going to ask them, ask people who have a pleasing personality and love children. The last thing you want is somebody going to the school who's a misery and hates kids. So make sure you use people that are child friendly and can work with a smile. And support the school in your prayers. Just as I said about the parish council, find out if they've got any special business coming up. Remember, it's start of a new term. It's a great point in their life, in school or a new school year, or somebody who's going off to university. You could engage with them in some way and support the family that will have an empty nest. But again, supporting publicly in prayer. So praying for your school as part of your prayer life, your intercessions, will be a really good thing. And again, as with the parish council, express your appreciation. Thank you for the work that's done. Some teachers find it really rough, find it hard work, and they put in tremendous hours. So remembering to say thank you to them as well is important. And you may have resources you can share that you could offer. Think about the space you've got, think about the people you've got, and see if there's any way in which you could be helpful if they've got a special event, such as if they've got a Christmas fair or something like that. Do they need extra help, or do they need extra tables? And can you help in any way? Things like that go a long way. And here's a great tip. At the start of every term, why not get a cake baked? I'm sure you've got people in your church who are great at baking. And if you could do a nice chocolate cake, it'll go down a wow in the staff room. And again, it's a way of expressing appreciation. So a little note with it from the church or the chapel saying thank you for all you've done. And if you could work together ecumenically, in these things. Sometimes there's a school which is Church of England controlled or Church of England aided. Is there a way in which you could invite in and involve your friends from the nonconformist churches in the area as well? So if you could do something like that, great, shows a joint piece of work. And keeping up to date with all that they're doing is important as well. Especially, don't get caught on the hop when there's going to be an inspection or there's going to be exams. Make sure that you know what's coming up. Where do you do that? You almost always, the school will have a website, and that's the great place to find out what's going on. And then if you get a report, so suppose they get an Ofsted inspection and it goes well, why not send them a congratulations card or find some other way of expressing your joy at their joy in having done well? Now, showing you really care, there's lots of ways that you can do that. Now, collaboration is important. Obviously, you can collaborate across denominations, and that's a good example. But you can collaborate with the community. So, for instance, here's just one thought, that maybe around harvest time, it may be that the local pub would like to put on something to celebrate harvest. Well, why not hold it at the pub and do it as a joint venture? So see if there's a way you can do it. And again, with carol singing, see if you can do it as a joint venture. See if there's ways of collaborating with others. A village is not just a cluster of houses. It's also a cluster of activities and associations. Find out what's going on and collaborate with them. But not on your terms. Do it on their terms. Be prepared to give in and give way. Do things their way. And so in that way, you'll be showing you're taking a genuine interest in them. Taking an interest is good. Showing an interest is better. So make sure that you've really done something positive. In the past, I've talked about the importance of harvest time and sending letters of thanks to your local farmers. I want to just drop that in here because it's, again, a situation. Finding people who work in the community for the community, working with them and saying thank you to them for all that they do is really important. Now, I wonder whether you would consider announcing various things that are taking place within the secular life of the community. Is there any reason why it can't be included in your notices? An extra notice about something happening at the school. And what about making sure that it's included in whoever's doing the intercessions, something to be included there? Now, I want to talk about celebrating special events that take place in your community. It might be that there's a wedding coming up. Now, if you offer marriage services, they can be very expensive. And I don't want to suggest that you go for those free, but what you could do is you could come up with a gift. So if they're paying for it, why not find a way of getting a gift to say thank you to them? And then when people have got married, remember to send anniversary cards and invite them to come back and make a fuss of them, do something rather special. Get a cake for the occasion or something like that. But invite them back and make it a special occasion. Make a fuss of them. Congratulate them on their continued married life together. And then there are other special family events that take place that you could think of. Even things as simple as passing a driving test or getting the first job. Or there's all sorts of family events. Well, make the church part of the family and make the family part of the church. And in that connection, it's important to share the pain and sorrows as well as the joys of village life. So if there's illness or bereavement, you could send an appropriate card. Also doing something, for instance, when there's a new birth or people have graduated at the end of their school life. So there's lots of ways in which you could actually express appreciation and engage with your community. Now, if all of this seems a bit much for the local vicar, well, I'm not surprised, but why can't somebody else take on some of these responsibilities? Incidentally, did you know that the Church of England has special facilities and resources for such things as following people after they got married at your church or had their child christened at your church? So that there are anniversary cards that are available that you can buy. I think you go to the Mission and Evangelism department at Church House for that. Now, what about when new people move into the village? That's a great opportunity for engaging. So giving them a card and some flowers or another kind of gift, but giving them a gift so that you welcome them. And along with that, give information about such things as what day do the bin men come, and where are the nicest walks in the area, a list of all the different clubs and associations that are held, lots of things that you can give. Oh, and you can add your church service times as well. So just make it a package deal, but make people feel really welcome in the situation. So when they move in, you're there and you're welcoming them and getting to know a little bit about. Well, I hope you found that interesting and a few ideas that you could implement. If you've got any other ideas of how to engage really effectively with your community, please drop us a line. Now you can contact us at info at Rural Missions. Info@Rural Missions. Rural Missions as if it's one word, .org.uk.